I've been coming to Screamfest forever. And who was here for American Mary a bunch of years ago? Yeah? You came back, so that's great. We would like to welcome back the directors of that film, ladies and gentlemen, Jen and Sylvia. Come on down.
Hi guys, thanks for having us. Not bad for a Tuesday night. Not bad. Thank you so much to Screamfest for having us. I will say, while we are not traditionally fans of remakes, I think a lot of them are very manipulative to the fans. Some people say fuck remakes, but I promise you we made love to ours. There's a lot of pressure. We're one of our greatest Canadian heroes, all of our peers and everyone else, the horror community, wondering why we would do this. They were going to make this film one way or another, and I was very concerned if somebody who didn't love David or understand his work handled this. So we really made this for an audience of one, Mr. David Cronenberg. But if you like him even remotely as much as we do, you're really in for something special. Totally, please enjoy.
What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Rabid. Now this is a remake of a 1977 David Cronenberg classic that is being remade by Jen and Sylvia Soska, better known as the Twisted Twins. Now before I get into that, please make sure you're subscribed, click the little bell and all of that good stuff, as it helps us fight the forces of Hydra, who are constantly unsubscribing subscribers and trying to bury us in that YouTube algorithm, and your help is greatly appreciated. Now, as I said, today I am going to be reviewing Rabid. Now this is a 2019 remake of a 1977 David Cronenberg classic, and if you know David Cronenberg and his work, you know that these directors had their work cut out for them. Now this movie is being reimagined and directed by Jen and Sylvia Soska, better known as the Twisted Twins, who have kind of made their own way into Hollywood with their gruesome and gritty style of filmmaking, with instant classics like American Mary and Dead Hooker in a Trunk. Now this film is, like I said, it's kind of reimagined. It is a body horror film that it's basically about this girl, Rose, who works in the fashion industry. She is a seamstress for this fashion designer, Gunter, who is like the biggest, hottest fashion designer out there in the world of fashion. And she is a seamstress, and she's kind of overlooked, overworked, and she ends up getting asked out to this local club by Brad, who is the photographer there on set for this fashion designer. So he asked her to go out to this local hotspot, and she reluctantly decides to go ahead and go out on this date with him. Well, while she's there, out on this date, you know, a small little trip to the restroom leads to her finding out that this whole date with Brad was actually set up by her best friend Chelsea, who is a model also for this same fashion designer. And so, you know, feeling, you know, upset and embarrassed, she storms out of this club and, you know, leaves on her moped in a hurry, and ends up getting in just a very unfortunate traffic collision that leaves her disfigured and in a coma. So she wakes up, you know, a couple of weeks later in the hospital, disfigured, and she basically she's out of a job, and she ends up moving in with her friend, who was, you know, the one who set her up on the date. She ends up moving in with her friend while she is rehabilitating and just gets back on her feet. Well, during that time, she kind of starts working on some of her own work, and she sees this commercial for this experimental surgery from this doctor who could help her, this Dr. William Burroughs. So she decides with her friend to go ahead and go to this clinic to seek out help. She goes ahead and decides to go through with this procedure that leaves her looking better than ever. And, you know, she looks better. She finds some newfound success with her, you know, after this surgery. And she also has a newfound lust for blood. Now, this all leads into basically she starts spreading this rapidly spreading virus of rabies, and it kind of basically makes the city get quarantined off as they try to, just kind of get this whole rabies outbreak contained. Now, this movie isn't like one of those big budget Hollywood films, and I don't say that as a bad thing. I actually think that it's something that is was pretty well done. I think the directors did a very good job here with everything that they were giving, and pulled all their resources together. The performances in this movie were pretty good. Like I said, this movie stars Laura Vandervoort as Rose, the main character. It also has Mackenzie Gray, who came in and did an amazing job as Gunter, who was the fashion designer. We've also got Annika Talbot, or it could be Annika. I'm probably mispronounced that, playing Chelsea, who is her best friend. Benjamin Hollingsworth comes in to play Brad, who is the photographer. We also get Ted Atherton, who came in to play Dr. William Burroughs, who did an absolutely great performance. And we've even got a few cameos in here from people like Stephen McHattie, who played the doctor, who played Dr. Keloid, who delivers Rose the bad news and shows her how disfigured she is, and just kind of a funny scene. We also got cameos from CM Punk and AJ Mendez of WWE fame, along with some longtime collaborators of theirs, Tristan Risk, who plays, I think she's played a part in most of their films. She comes in and plays a multitude, a couple of different parts in this film. Altogether, I've got to say the performances in this movie were really well done by all the people in this movie. There's also people like Stephen, God, what is this guy's name? Stephen Huzar, who plays Dominic, who plays one of Rose's first victims, and this guy looked just like really familiar to me. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. We've also got Greg Brick, who comes in and plays the director on set of this movie that where the rabies outbreak first kind of starts with this dominant character. Again, a lot of the performances in here were really well done. I'd say the weakest performance in here was done by Benjamin Hollingsworth, who is playing like the photographer slash boyfriend of Rose, and even his performance I thought was pretty good considering all the circumstances. He was kind of he wasn't even her boyfriend, just like the reluctant guy to go ahead and take this girl out on a date. And so I think a lot of his performance actually still played really well on screen. And like I said, I thought this movie was really well done. The pacing of the movie was really good as well. There wasn't really any points where I felt bored. There was a couple of points where it slowed down a little bit, but I think that was really for really a lot for driving the story forward and some of the character building, just some of the things that needed to happen in this movie. The score here was really well done as well, and I thought it played well and helped set some of the dark and gritty tone here. And just like some of the situations it really played well to. And there like I said, there are some scenes in this movie as well, just like some of the shots and just some of the things that happen were really well done. Like there's this really great scene where Laura Vandervoort has this prosthetics on her face, and she talked about it afterwards in this Q&A, where she had these prosthetics on her face because she was disfigured, and there while she was on set, she was having to feed through this tube. Like in the movie, she's having to feed through this tube, and while she was doing that for the movie, she actually ended up vomiting, like in this mask thing on her face. There was really nowhere for her to go, and she said that wasn't in the script. They just kind of followed her as as her performance was coming out, and I thought it was really well done. There's also this great kind of eerie and horrific scene with these nurses and this like nightmare scene, and it was really again here I thought it was really well shot, really well done. And for me, when I see a good horror film, I want to see something with just like the slightest bit of cheesiness in it, and I think we get just enough of that in here in some of the performances, because to me, like, some of that cheesiness kind of helps bring some of the horrific stuff out in the movie. But to me, it also shows that when we're making a horror film, I guess, that it shows that the people who are making it are having fun while they're making it. Because I think a great horror film, while it takes itself seriously, it lends itself to some of those cheesy elements. And I think that we definitely get a lot of that in this movie, and we can see that a lot of the people here were truly having fun making this film. Like I said, CM Punk came in and did a really great performance where he was playing like the chauvinistic male, and he gets what he deserves in the end. thought it was really, just again, really well done. And we can see like the whole world, this whole fashion model world, I thought was really well done by the Soska sisters. Again, they did a really good reimagining of this 1977 David Cronenberg classic. And there are even some, like creature things that happen in this movie that I thought were really well done. Again, everybody who was involved in the making of this film, I think, did a really great job, from the actors to the set decorators, the directors, just the prop makers. Everybody here came in and did one hell of a job. And I think this is definitely a remake that I think many people will approve of, especially being a 1977 David Cronenberg classic. And if you've ever seen a Cronenberg movie, you kind of know how hard that is going to be to do. I didn't realize when I went and through and looked at how many Cronenberg flicks that I had actually seen, and most of these movies I seen when I was a kid. I grew up in the 80s, so that was okay to show a kid under 10 those things back in those days. Like these days, I don't know, I'd show my kids this stuff, I'm not sure if they'd handle it, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I guess that's just the times I was grew up in. But again, this movie made its North American premiere here on October 15th at Screamfest LA, and I was lucky enough to go down there and make this its North American debut. I had a chance to meet the Soska sisters, the directors themselves. It was absolutely great. I got to meet Tristan Resk, who is one of the actresses in the film as well. And there were other actors there also to meet, but they were gone by the time we were there pretty late. It was pretty late at night, but I did get to meet the Soska sisters. They were absolutely they were so wonderful. They were really nice and sweet. I got them to sign some of my comic books. I got to meet Tristan Resk, who was really nice. And again, all of the actors who were in this film that were actually there were really nice. You could see as they were interacting with everybody, they really had a lot of fun making this movie and really poured themselves into it. Again, I think this is a great horrific movie. It's a body horror movie, so you're not looking for, it's not really anything scary or anything like that. A lot of it is just gruesome, gory. Again, I thought it was really well done, and I think this is one that you guys definitely need to make sure that you go out and see. I think this is a reboot, or I guess a remake, that I think is one that you guys should probably definitely go out and see and can get behind. And like I said, if you know where the Soska sisters come from, I just recently watched American Mary for the first time, which I thought was a phenomenal film, and I'll be doing a review on that very soon. And like I said, if you've seen at the very beginning, I played a clip here where the Soska sisters kind of talked about their remaking this film, and they did that 30-minute Q&A afterward. I will be releasing all of that in another video, because that would just make this video way longer than it needs to be. But let me know down in the comments below, have you seen the original Rabid, and do you plan on seeing the Soska sisters remake of Rabid, this 1977 David Cronenberg classic? And if you got a chance to see it, let me know what you think down in the comments below. That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. Now, if you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell so you get notifications anytime I have uploaded new content. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't, feel free to give it a thumbs down. It's all good. I don't take it personally. But while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and see this movie at the theater, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.